Welcome to the Animal Training Academy podcast show. I'm your host, Ryan Carledge, and I'm passionate about helping you master your animal training skills using the most positive and least intrusive approaches. Here at ATA, we understand that navigating the vast challenges you encounter in training requires a comprehensive base of knowledge and experience. It's common to face obstacles and rough patches on your journey that can leave you feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Therefore, since 2015, we've been on a mission to empower animal training geeks worldwide. We've aided thousands in developing their skills, expanding their knowledge, boosting their confidence, and maximizing their positive impact on all the animal and human learners they work with. We are excited to do the same for you. Simply visit www.atamember.com, join our vibrant community, and geek out with us. And of course, in the meantime, enjoy this free podcast episode as we explore new ways to help you supercharge your training skills, grow your knowledge, and build your confidence, so that you can craft a life that positively impacts every learner you encounter. But we will start today's episode where I'll be talking to one Mari Valgma. Mari is a certified professional canine fitness trainer who is passionate about helping dog training enthusiasts build their dog's confidence through movement and body awareness. In 2020, Mari created movement puzzles, initially as a fitness tool to support working and sport dogs with balance and coordination. But it quickly became clear that these puzzles offered so much more. Handlers began noticing remarkable changes: improved confidence, reduced reactivity, better focus, independent performance, and stronger obstacle commitment. Since then, Movement Puzzles has grown into a thriving community of over 2,000 members, all dedicated to kind, empowering training. Our guest's work has been featured by the Fenzi Dog Sports Academy, Agility Nation, and numerous international dog training summits. And their true passion lies in helping dogs feel confident, capable, and ready for anything life throws their way. So without further ado, it's my very great pleasure to welcome Mari to the show today, who is patiently waiting by, as we often say on the show, on the other side of the planet, this time in Estonia. Mari, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us at Animal Training Academy.
Hi, and I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me to be on the show.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. As I think I said to you when we caught up a few weeks ago, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check, but I don't think we've had a guest from Estonia before. So I'm really curious.
No, we are quite rare.
Yeah, well, when you think about your country and the international reach that you've achieved, so congratulations on that, firstly. But when you think about that, can you think of other trainers in your country whom have pushed their other personal brand or dog training niche product, whatever it is, out into the world?
No, not really. There are some trainers who are known in sports circles, so very focused training in sports circles, and who are known internationally. But as I may be mistaken, but I don't think there's anyone actively teaching in English and providing services to the international community.
And is English? Tell me about English in Estonia. Does everyone talk English? Is English? Do your kids learn English in school?
Yes. As a small nation, we do speak multiple languages. We usually speak 2 or 3 languages at least. Many of us speak even more. So we regularly speak our neighbors' languages because there are lots of languages around us. And the Estonians in general, they do speak one big language as well. Many people speak German, Spanish, English. So
How many languages do you speak?
Fluently, just two.
English and Estonian.
English and Estonian, but at school I did learn Russian, and when I graduated from high school, then I was pretty good in Russian as well. But as I don't really use it daily, then it's kind of you forget it when you
Yeah,
don't
of
use it.
course. Of course. Well, I'm curious to learn more about what it's like to be a evidence-based positive reinforcement, whatever you want to label yourself as, dog trainer in Estonia. So we'll dive into that in today's episode. I was excited today to speak to you just because I know nothing about Estonia, and I know about New Zealand and know about the States because I follow so many people in the States, but we have a few members from Estonia in our animal training academy, which is super exciting. But other than that, I would guess that for you, the listener of this show, unless you're from Estonia yourself and you're one of those people, you probably know a little about what's going on with our joint mission, I'm going to say, to improve the lives of dogs and other non-human learners and human learners in the work that we do. So I'm super curious to learn about that. But before we do, let's go back because I want to know about your story, Murray. I want to know where you started your journey into positive reinforcement dog training, and share some stories with us from your behavior odyssey, as we like to call it.
Right. So I think, or I consider myself very lucky because my training journey or my life with dogs actually started by first reading the classics like Suzanne Clothier's Bones Would Rain from the Sky and Patricia McConnell's, I believe it's The Other End of the Leash is the title of her book. So these were the two books that I had read multiple times before I even got my first dog. So I had this idea of how dog training should be and how it should look like, and it all looked so beautiful. And then I got my first dog. It wasn't that long ago, actually. I think it was just 12 or 13 years ago. And I got my first dog, who was then an adult dog. And we started training together. And I very quickly realized that when I go to the training sessions at the local club, then it's not all positive reinforcement based training. But I was very lucky. My first coach in the training club was like I got the best possible start you could ask for in the dog training world. But then my second dog, who I got soon after, with her I wasn't quite as lucky because she was having some health problems. I came to realize that she needed fitness training to help maintain good quality life for her. And back then in Estonia, there weren't basically any options for that. And I felt stuck, but it's like the one thing about me is that I try to find solutions for my dog. So the dog that is in front of me, I try to do the best I can to find a solution. Like even if I have to, I don't necessarily travel to the other side of the world, but now with all the online services, you can get access to the services on the other side of the world. And I noticed that, or I discovered that Fancy Dog Sports Academy has pretty cool fitness classes that were available online. And I signed up for these classes. They basically changed my life because I became a certified professional canine fitness trainer through Fancy Dog Sports Academy only a few years after I had just started with dog training or having dogs in my life. And yeah, that's how it started, how my positive reinforcement training journey started. So I have encountered other ways of training, but not that much personally. So only with respect to other people training near me, or also, for example, when I did search and rescue training, then there were people training in alternative ways. So we were just training together alongside each other.
And when thinking back to when you read, I think it's the human end of the leash. God, we're both going to get Patricia McConnell's book title wrong, and Susan Clofier's book. Was this when you got your first dog?
It was before I got my first dog.
Ah,
So I
okay.
knew that I wanted to like get a dog.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Oh, cool.
basically I just Googled like, in English, what are the top 3 books that I should read if I want to get a dog. And these ones came up obviously, and I was like, oh, these are amazing. And yeah, Suzanne Clothier's book is one of my all-time favorites. It's an amazing book.
And so 13 years ago, 14 years ago, so we're talking 2011-ish.
Yeah, 2012 maybe, something around then. So not that long ago.
What were you doing at that stage in life? Did you have a career already? Were you?
I was doing a PhD in maritime science or maritime engineering in the UK, which is probably why I ended up Googling dog training books in English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, so you were living in the UK at the time.
Back then, I was living in the UK. Yeah,
Did you finish your PhD?
I did finish my PhD. Yeah, so I'm Dr. Mari Valgma actually.
Ah, I didn't know that. So you said your research is in maritime engineering.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? What is? I don't know. Like if you said to me, hey, Ryan, explain to me what a maritime engineer was, I'd be like, I don't know, make ships.
Yeah, it is shipbuilding, but my specialty or my PhD was about the aging of materials in seawater. So basically, because materials don't stay 100% full power in the seawater, then my PhD was about investigating how they age in seawater and how it affects their lifetime, and what new materials we can use that would also meet these requirements. But I have to admit that it was ages ago when I did that, and obviously things have changed a lot since then in my life, so I don't feel very comfortable talking about that anymore.
Yeah. So I'm assuming then that what you do now and how you spend your days is not what you would have envisioned when you were studying.
Not back then, no. But it's I can't say that I'm sorry how things went. I'm happy that I did my PhD. I'm very happy that I had a chance to live in the UK, and I'm also very happy that I'm now focused solely on dog training and helping dogs and humans.
If we had said to you in 2012 when you were reading Susan's book and Patricia's book and doing your PhD in maritime engineering, hey Mari, where do you see yourself in 2025? Like what would you have said?
I probably would have said that I'm working in some business or maybe at the university focusing on maritime engineering or material science.
So is maritime engineering like when you were a little kid, you're like, Mummy, Daddy, I want to do maritime engineering when I'm older. Like how does one get into maritime engineering?
Oh, because my friends were there.
Right.
What?
That's
But
that's a valid reason. Your behavior goes where your reinforcement flows, right?
exactly. It was actually so when I was a little kid, then I did want to go and do a PhD in the UK. So that was like valid. I did it. It's done. But yeah, I didn't know like in what area. And when I went to the university here in Estonia, then I basically chose my specialty based on that specialty's description, that if you liked playing with Legos when you were a kid, then this is the specialty for you. And I was like, there we go. This one is for me. And that was mechanical engineering. And there I met my friends. We are still good friends. And they were ship builders or maritime engineers who were also studying together in the mechanical engineering department. So yeah, we were hanging out and I was like, I want to study maritime engineering as well.
One reason there's two reasons I'm asking about this. One, because I'm just genuinely curious about something that I know nothing about, and love that you wanted to do a PhD in the UK because that's quite an ambitious goal. It's quite an ambitious
Yeah, especially
goal.
like for a kid. I think I was 8 years old when I announced that.
Nice. And I think that doing a PhD is an ambitious goal, but doing a PhD, an engineering PhD in another country, is ambitious. And so congratulations to you now and to your 8-year-old self who fulfilled what you said you were going to do. But secondly, I get a lot of people, a lot of our members, they private message me, tell me where they're at, what their goals are, and a lot of people are in that transitional period between figuring out how do I make a living out of this? How do I take this thing that's really grabbed my attention? They probably wouldn't word it like this, but I can see that there's a lot of reinforcers in this space, in this dog training, animal training. It doesn't necessarily need to be dogs in this space for me that I'm not accessing and making contact with in other areas of my life. So they're in that stage. So I ask this because you're an example of a radically different um, destination. You're still on the journey. I get that, but if we're just talking about the present moment, a very different destination than you were on 2011, 2012. So what was it for you? Like, and how did you like if you've invested the money, the sacrifices you'd have to make to do your PhD, the time, how do you reconcile in your mind? Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna put that down and then I'm gonna like focus on dog training and make my living and my purpose in that space. It's a big decision,
I
or
th-
was it not?
I think that it was for my grandmother, definitely. Like
We'll get your grandmother on the show.
uh, because like well, like very many relatives are always like worried that, oh my goodness, you just finished your PhD. Are you just like throwing away your career? And I'm like, what career? I haven't got a career yet. And all these concerns. But for me, actually, it wasn't so much about getting a PhD, but experiencing living in the UK, which was the thing that I actually wanted to do. So the fact that I got a PhD as a result, it's just like a bonus for me. But I really value the time that I had in the UK, and I think that I'm using everything that I got from the UK, like being comfortable speaking English. Not worried about making mistakes when I'm presenting my stuff. All of these things, they are still valuable to me today in my work. So I don't think that there isn't that much difference. To me, at least, there isn't.
I mean, there's many people that come on the podcast and say the fact that I got a PhD was just a bonus. I mean, pretty nice bonus. No, I'm thinking as you're talking back to a phone call. I remember this phone call, and it was roughly around the same time, probably no, but a little bit earlier, 2007, 2008 or something. My parents calling me up, and I was volunteering at a wildlife rehabilitation place, breeding endangered wallabies in Australia, and they're like express similar concerns.
I think it like kind of unites all the parents and grandparents in the world. These
Yeah.
concerns.
And then I was also thinking as I watched my two children play relentlessly with their Duplo Lego at the moment, oh, maybe there's some little maritime engineers in my house.
You never know. You never know.
So what was it then for you? You got your second dog. What issues did your second dog have?
She had hypermobility in her joints, which means that her joints were moving a bit too much, more than they should. And it first started with torn cruciate ligaments in both knees. And she was less than 1 year old when that happened. So she was a puppy when she already got torn cruciate ligaments. And then she got the diagnosis that most of her joints were allowing too big range of motion. And back then, the orthopedist basically told me that she will have so many injuries that at the end you will have to just decide to let her go because of all the injuries that she's getting. And I would say that my big triumph was that she passed away last summer, not due to the orthopedic condition, but it was a different reason. But she didn't have a single injury in 10 years, like in her life after these cruciate ligament tears, and I'm very proud of that, of what we achieved with fitness training.
Yeah, you should be really proud of that. What's the lesson there? What did you do when you were told that by your orthopedist?
I started looking for solutions, and I can't remember how I discovered that fitness training might be the thing, because like back then there was no canine fitness training in Estonia whatsoever. So, and I wasn't in an infosphere where I would learn about it. So I can't remember like how did I discover that maybe I should look for fitness training. But somehow I did. And when I started Googling, like, so how can I find some online programs? Then I found the programs at Fancy Dog Sports Academy. And that's how my journey at the Fancy Dog Sports Academy started, because I'm still an active student in there and regularly taking their classes and a big fan.
So you weren't like, I don't accept that. My dog's not going to have injuries. You were more like, how can I minimize the injuries this dog's going to have?
Yeah. How can I make sure that she can live a quality life?
And
I guess I did want to avoid injuries, but like just to make sure that I'm doing the best I can to make sure that she wouldn't have all these injuries.
And don't know much about hypermobility. So is this a genetic condition? What is it something to do with experiences during puppyhood?
It's most likely genetic. So it's not necessarily caused by the environment or how the puppy is raised. But to be honest, like I do have very like conflicting information on that, and I haven't researched it in a while. So I'm not sure if my information is very up to date.
And were these torn ligaments at such an early age, did they impact your dog's resilience, your dog's confidence? Did they have an impact?
Yes, she was an insecure dog, and because she was lame most of her puppyhood, then we couldn't really like go to places or do things together. And back then I was actually like a novice dog person, so I didn't know that much or that well about things back then. But as I became more aware of how to train, how to use positive reinforcement, how to do it well, then I would say that at the end of her life, she was like a happy, normal dog who was quite confident in most of her daily situations and things that she would encounter.
And random question, but your engineering background,
yeah.
and thinking about how things work and how things are put together, does that give you like, when you think about hypermobility and how a dog's put together, does your engineering like background and brain kind of click into action?
It helped a lot. Right now, I don't feel it anymore that much, but when I was just getting started, then having engineering background helped me a lot to understand how bodies work, where biggest stresses will be, and all of these things, and how strengthening the muscles around the joints will help the dog, and all these things. So I remember that my brain went constantly like doing these parallel lines, that learning about anatomy and fitness training, and then going back to, but this links to this engineering like principle, basically. Because most of the engineering stuff also comes from nature, really. So
Yeah, I guess nature like anatomical features and design of bodies from long periods of evolution,
Yeah,
are some of the biggest marvels of engineering on the planet, would you
probably.
say?
I would say so. Yeah.
When you say a lot of engineering comes from nature, what do you mean? Like
Well, wings, for example,
wings? Yeah.
plain wings. I remember when I was in the university, then I was really into this thing and reading like different books of engineering marvels of the nature. So, for example, like deep tree branches that they have this um, optimum curve when they are joining the tree trunk so that they wouldn't break, and to make sure that stress concentrations wouldn't get too high and so on. So like this is these similar solutions now used in like human-made engineering. They follow similar principles.
As you were talking, it made me think about gratitude, and I try to be grateful every day for little things like my fingers, which I'm now using to navigate my mouse, because these are the things we don't think about. And I've never thought about the angle of a tree branch before. And so
Yeah,
that's something I'm going to be grateful for because today, because the leaves go on the trees and we need the leaves to do their work so that we can live on this planet. Thank you, evolution. And perfectly angled tree branches. It's amazing. I didn't know
yeah.
that. So what was it about fitness? You went to Fenzi Dog Sports, what when you say certified fitness trainer, I don't even know enough about what that is. Can you explain your journey
It's
from
basically a certificate that tells me that I have passed. I think it was an 8 month old long course, together with the written and practical exam. So it's a certificate um, to show that I've passed the course, and I'm certified to do canine fitness training and offer services in that area.
So what is involved in having a fit canine? Because I'm assuming that that would cover starting young. What can we do for puppies? What can we do for adolescent dogs? What can we do for adults? Or how does it all?
Yes, so whew, uh, also now I've actually moved away a little bit from the traditional canine fitness training that I originally learned. And I know that the principles in there are also constantly evolving. Um, so you always discover a little bit more information becomes available, and then it's like you then know things that maybe weren't true 5 or 6 years ago, or that we didn't know about 5 or 6 years ago. Uh, but the most common approach, I guess, is the strengthening workouts to make sure that the muscles are supporting the joints, that they're supporting the back, and helping the canine athlete to use his body in the best possible and most efficient way, and make sure that all the so-called weak spots are supported, so that when they do put repetitive loads on the body, for example, jumping in agility, which is quite a repetitive behavior, you have quite many jumps, that the body is then capable of dealing with these stresses in the body and make sure that they don't become overload injuries. So having a fit canine or being involved in canine fitness training, it's actually it's quite a lot of work, to be honest. It's like having a proper training routine for the dog and regularly doing the exercises with the dog.
And what's your thinking now about canine fitness? Are you thinking in terms of in Thinking about what you provide, your movement puzzles and the work that you do, like, are you wanting to help people who have dogs who are doing repetitive behaviors, putting repetitive loads on the body in terms of sport, or are you like dogs in general, your dog sitting at home by your feet, your pet dogs that they're not fit enough. We need to make dogs more fit. Like, where do you sit? Like, what's your kind of drive and your passion and who you want to help?
So when I first started with movement puzzles, then it was mainly focused on working and sport dogs. Mostly because I saw with my own young dog that he was, although he had been doing fitness training for most of his life, then he was struggling with specific situations like tight left turns in sports activities. Or with him, we were also involved in search and rescue training. And there were some specific situations where I saw that you would say that maybe that he wasn't comfortable or confident enough in these situations. But for me, because I have the fitness training background, for me, basically every problem links back to fitness training. And does my dog actually have the physical skills to do that exercise? So for my dog, because the situations that he was struggling with, these situations always involved movement. So they weren't like stationary positions or being strong in specific situations or having enough power. It was more about him struggling to coordinate his movements while actually like in motion and running, because in most work or sport situations, the dogs are running and they then have to coordinate their bodies while in motion. And I developed movement puzzles for that purpose, because movement puzzles essentially they are a pattern exercise where the dog moves from one pole to another. He does it independently from the human without any handler cues. And also the dog does it on his own initiative. So it's not lured or forced somehow, or by taking away the dog's choice, by limiting, like creating a channel, for example. That's not something that we do. I used this two-ball game pattern that I learned from Milene Lawler at Fancy Dog Sports Academy. And I started like creating these manufactured setups that imitated what my dog was struggling with in sport and work situations. So I created these setups where he would have to focus on his precise paw placement. And thanks to him knowing how to move from one ball to another, I could easily like add in movement to these exercises. So he was essentially practicing how to coordinate his movements while in motion. And basically all of his problems at work and in sport exercises disappeared. And I started my first movement puzzles course in English. But the students started reporting back to me that, oh, by the way, we started with movement puzzle training, and now I'm noticing all these other changes in my dog, like lower reactivity, feeling more confident. Dogs were becoming more focused during training sessions, less impulsive, making better choices while moving. And by now, I would say that movement puzzles, we do use it for fitness training purposes as well, for working and sport dogs, but it has actually become a confidence boosting training tool, mostly. So for me, confidence boosting is very closely linked to fitness training. So I would never separate them. But I am very passionate about helping dogs feel good in their bodies, feel confident. And for me, this means that they are also confident interacting with the world and exploring more and having fun.
I just the other day, Murray, because we've got two kids at home. That was mentioned, I think, already in this show. One's 1 year old, one's 5. So my ability to fit fitness into my life is challenged. But last Friday, I went out and brought a walking pad. I don't know if you have those in Estonia. I think they're relatively new in New Zealand, but it's like a treadmill that goes under your
Mm,
desk without arms, so you can
okay.
like walk and work at the same time. I'm going to try it out for the first time today. But I know what that I like. I'm very motivated because I know that when I get fitter, I feel that confidence. I remember
Yeah.
back to one of the fittest times of my life. So one of the long stretches of gym attendance that I've managed back pre-kids, pre-wife, uh, lots of time as I stare into the distance with great recollection of what that was like. And I remember I was working in a zoo at the time, and there's just one memory, and I don't um it's quite interesting to me how that sticks out so prominently in my mind of just climbing the steps and just doing so with an ease
Mm-hmm.
that I had that like I was like that was noticeable. Not and climbing steps isn't hard. I've never found it hard climbing steps, but it was just like I kind of floated up these steps and I was like, wow, like that is the impact of this fitness and how that made me feel. And I can only imagine, because that's all we can do, that a dog would, or any species, would experience something that shares similarities with that.
Well, what we are seeing with my students' dogs, then I think that dogs experience something similar because when people start with these exercises, they very quickly start saying that they are actually seeing their dog uh, moving with a lot more confidence from their body carriage, tail carriage, head held high, not like being shy or um, cautious about things. And they say that they very quickly see it in other situations as well, not just when doing these exercises, but in other training scenarios. And like I have just like a similar story to yours. I think it was last spring when I was just doing some gardening stuff, and I wanted to go and get a tool, but there was a small uh, brick wall in front of me, and previously I would have walked around the wall. But because I had been doing some parkour style training recently, then I was just like, I didn't even think about it. I just climbed straight over the wall because I was just like, for me, it was the most obvious path to take, and I knew that I can easily do it. But without that parkour style training, I would have walked around the wall because, in my mind, even without thinking about it, I would have decided that this isn't for me. And with our students' dogs, it scares me actually how many of them tell me that when they start with these exercises, they notice that their dogs start doing mischievous things, in the sense that previously they thought that their dog was just being super well behaved and polite by not doing certain things like getting on the furniture. But it came out that the dogs just didn't know that it was physically an option for them, that they were capable of doing it. And after doing this movement puzzle style training, they start doing this, what you might label mischievous, but it's actually just the dog discovering that, oh my goodness, I can actually do this, and it's easy, and I have the skills. And while some of the things are maybe something that you don't want actually your dog to do, then obviously I would assume that we also have the skills to then teach our dogs not to do them in certain situations. But it also makes me just like wonder how limited our dogs may be sometimes, because they just don't believe that things are physically an option. And it may be just like with me with the wall, that they don't even think about certain things being an option for them. So yeah, and once they discover that, oh my goodness, I can actually balance on high surfaces above from the ground. Oh my goodness, that like the world is my oyster. Can go on
Yeah.
like exploring now.
Yeah, it opens up lots more opportunities for access to reinforcement, I can imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And also like exploring and developing new skills just through exploring and discovering things in the nature more. Because these same dogs, they also tend to be very limited in their choices when they go for walks, that maybe they just walk on a path or maybe just like behind you. So they don't really go exploring, which means that they won't get like full benefits of nature exploration either.
And just something else that struck me from what you're doing, and I know that during this episode you mentioned, it's not that long ago, I got my dog not that long ago, but I don't want to minimize what you've managed to do in that time. So,
no, I think it's pretty amazing that it's like such a short time.
yeah, okay, good,
Yep.
good. I think sometimes it's obviously you can't see your work from anyone's perspective and experience but your own. But one thing that I just wanted to hear in your words how it was for you putting together a training exercise that helps your individual dog. Great, cool. Like I can go, okay, cool, I've got this problem, came up with a solution. So many reinforcers in there. I think if it was me doing that, one, just the creative process of coming up with a solution, like I find that incredibly reinforcing. Two, like setting it up and being like, okay, cool, now this idea is out of my head and it's got like some tangible reality to it. Three, implementing it, probably failing, I imagine, for a while and
Yeah,
figuring out
a
like what
lot.
doesn't work, right? And then persisting with determination through that to get something that's actually helping your dog and got tangible results. And then being able to share that with other people and help them get results through. So that they're basically getting the fruits of your labor, and you can nourish them. I mean, that must be incredibly reinforcing. And I just wanted to acknowledge that firstly, and ask you, what was it like when you realized like this thing I've done just to help my own dog out now is helping dogs all over the world.
Ooh, that's that wasn't that straightforward, to be honest. Because when I first started teaching movement puzzles, then I actually stopped teaching it for a while. So I think that I released the first course in 2020, and that was it. It was just the first course. And for me, it didn't really click. I wasn't a fan. And later I realized it was because back then I just, for me, somehow it didn't click as a fitness training tool. Because like there are so many different elements in fitness training, and I somehow felt like maybe I was minimizing the traditional canine fitness training and the need for it, and I didn't want to do it because it's super important to do that as well. And I still get questions from people asking like, oh, then I can just skip doing my stationary fitness exercises. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't stop doing them. It doesn't replace them. It's a different tool that you use for slightly different purposes. And for me, it became important when I understood that we can help dogs on so many different levels. That it wasn't just for working and sport dogs, but now we have very many dogs who are struggling with behavioral challenges, who can't go on walks, for example. So many behaviorists are using movement puzzles to help these clients to make sure that their dogs are still getting some like movement focused exercises and they can do it indoors if they can't go outside. And we have a lot of timid dogs who are very cautious of exploring, who are scared of everything new in their environment, and they are becoming a lot more confident with movement puzzles. And I find it very rewarding helping dogs and their humans on that level, and that's actually why I also enjoy this. work or profession a lot more than I enjoyed engineering, because I did work as an engineer, but as an engineer, you work with like big industries and big businesses. You don't see you making any impact in individuals' lives, to be honest. But in this area, working with dogs and their humans, you can actually like see how things are making a difference for other humans and dogs. Because like for me, it's also important to make sure that the human part of the team is also happier or gets a solution to something that they have been struggling with. So I'm not sure that if I answered your question here, to be honest. I think I got carried away a little bit.
Perfect. My mission is done then. Getting our guests carried away is what I'm aim for. Yeah, I guess we're like, you're a maritime engineer. You don't have the captain of a ship ringing you up and saying, "Hey, Mari, you know that angle that was perfectly rounded, just like a tree branch. And I'm just so grateful that you designed my ship and like we're all safe." I guess you wouldn't get that kind of. No one thinks about that kind of stuff, do they? You did answer the question, because I think you gave a very human answer to the question. And so much as you have an idea, I mean, you had a study of one at one point, right? You had your dog and you had your puzzles and you had the context in which you applied that. Part of that context being you didn't abandon these fitness foundational components of what you managed to achieve with your dog. And so putting that out there, this is what I was thinking when you were saying that. And this is what I mean by that very human side of things is you're vulnerable. There's a vulnerability that comes with this now has shifted from internal, from private to external, into a space where others might judge me or criticize me, or I might not communicate
And
things
they do
properly.
it. They use this opportunity a lot.
Did they? Did you face that? So like, what did that look like for you? Did it look like private messages?
No, it's mostly I get what it looks like is people claiming me of stealing other people's work. And I'm like, I only discovered that other person's work after I had done or put my movement puzzles out into the world, and people started telling me that I'm stealing someone's work. Then I was like, oh, I should look up what this other person is doing. So yeah, like you do get not everyone loves you, but it's like if you don't annoy someone, then you're playing it too small.
Yeah, and that's not about you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's about so many other things other than you. I'll say you is the last thing that's about. Is when people
Plus, I understand that there are some cases in history when someone's work has been like actually stolen and monetized by others. So I understand that people are concerned about it. So I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the issue there isn't that people aren't concerned about things that warrant concern or haven't got constructive feedback about your work, my work, anyone's work. That's not the issue. That, I think, is welcomed and encouraged.
Yeah.
It's not that is a thing. It's how that is delivered, and what the motivations, intent, approach can be. Because I think also in your work or my work or anyone's work, like is it there's a cliche saying like, is any of it really our work? Like, it all came from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And secondly, like, it's made me think about like conversion evolution. Like, you can have, for example, vultures, two different groups of vultures that evolved in completely different parts of the world in isolation, but look anatomically similar and have adaptations for the same purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So that one vulture didn't go, oh, do you know what the vultures in Asia are doing? Like, let's steal their idea. let's lose all of our feathers from our head, so that we can like remain healthy when we stick them in carcasses. So one thing we're getting close to the end of this episode, and to the listeners of the show, God, I have failed at mentioning this earlier. We are going to talk about movement puzzles in part 2 of my conversation with Mari. So we're going to dive deep into that. But before we finish up, I'm just curious about Estonia. So you were in the UK doing a PhD. You obviously
Mhm.
have moved home. Estonia is home now.
Yes, it is. I'm living in Estonia. So back when I was reading Suzanne Glothier's and Patricia McConnell's books, then I was preparing for my move back to Estonia. So my plan was to move to Estonia and get a dog. What a brilliant plan.
Well, it's just such a different part of the world to New Zealand. I mean, I know that the geopolitical situation at the moment, it's quite a ex-Soviet Union country, and you've got probably a
Mhm.
lot of
It's not
societal
overly comfortable. Yeah.
and really sorry for everything that's going on in that space, and how that I'm sure adds stress not only to the society but to the individual as well, and worries that we just in other parts of the world don't have to contend with. But in terms of positive reinforcement dog training, and uh, I can imagine for you as it is for me, because New Zealand's not like, there's probably more people in. How many people are in Estonia? Let's compare our countries quickly.
I may be now mistaken with the exact number, but I think it's 1.3 million.
Oh, you're tiny then compared to us. I was about to say New Zealand's so small, about 5 million people, but you're
You are huge.
well, that feels so tiny when you think about like members of ours in cities like LA and London, and there's like
Yeah.
4 or 5 times the amount of people in those cities than there are in our countries. So being in New Zealand, though, there are oceans between me and a lot of the friends that I've made globally in the animal training world. And so community is super important, and the ability to connect with mentors and other people, and share ideas and support each other and brainstorm problems to solutions. So obviously you've got that because internet and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you've also got the local Estonia population, and the culture of you acting as an individual with a joint. I'm gonna frame it as a mission task, which is to improve the lives of dogs and their human learners through ethical, evidence-based practices. Um, but what about Estonia? Like, how do you are you connected much to the training community in your local region, or are you more? Because for me, like Animal Training Academy is, I'm more connected oft to the global community than necessarily locally. But what about yourself?
Yeah, it's the same for me. And actually, like before I started teaching classes in English, I did have canine fitness training practice here in Estonia. I started it, I think it was in 2017. It was in-person canine fitness classes. And I did it full time for 3 years. So that's when COVID came, 2020, and like I had to shut down. And so I know what it's like to build a business in a very small country to a very small audience, because that's the truth, that if you are living in a country that doesn't have a very big population, then that also limits your audience size as well. But obviously, like when COVID came and I was forced to close my business, then I wouldn't just sit around and wait. I was just like, all right, and now it's time to start an English business, online business then. uh, so that's what I did. But here in Estonia, I do have some very good friends who are also who you might call positive reinforcement and force-free trainers and evidence-based trainers. I do collaborate with quite a few of them. They offer their consultations through my online platform in English. So they are also expanding to the English speaking audience. But To be honest, in general, I would say that the force-free and evidence-based training community is small in Estonia. There are definitely people who are seeking for their support and services, but I have a feeling that that's very much a minority of dog guardians who seek that kind of support at this stage, unfortunately. And also for movement puzzles, I don't have a big audience in Estonia. We have a couple of students from Estonia, but not that many. I'm very happy that we do have these couple of students. I'm always very excited to see an Estonian name in my audience among my students. So thank you if you're listening.
And is dog guardianship, dog ownership, do many people have dogs in Estonia?
Yes, I would say so. But it's many people have dogs, but you don't often see dogs when you're moving around. So like we don't have street dogs. In that sense, you don't see dogs, but also it's not that common or that welcome to go with a dog to different places. So I would say that there are quite many dogs and people have dogs, but you don't see them that often.
So people don't like, are you talking about just taking your dog to the shop or cafe or something? Or are you talking about walking your dog?
Even walking, you don't like, obviously there are like rush hours when you have a dog, then you know when to go like walking and you will see lots of dogs. But in general, yeah, you don't see that many dogs around. That was actually something that my current dog's breeder brought out. She's from Austria, and she mentioned that when she traveled through Estonia, then it was amazing. Like she didn't see any dogs, and it didn't look like dogs were very welcome. For example, you can't even go on a beach with a dog, even like when it's not a seasonal beach time. So, yeah, it was. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, she's right that you don't really see dogs that often.
Well, I have more questions, but I think in the interest of time, we will end towards wrapping up here. So, firstly, thank you for sharing some of your behavior odyssey with us today. We really enjoy learning about different people and where they're from and what their journeys have been like. So, really appreciate that. And I was hoping you could just share with everyone before we wrap up part one where they can go online to find out more about you, movement patterns, and to sure get in touch.
So the website or the formal website is themovingcanine.com. So you will find our free training videos in there. We have a 2-ball game free training series that you can sign up for, and you can find more information about me and what we offer on the website. And you can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Mari Valgma, the moving canine, and Instagram is the.moving.canine, or spelled out. So that's how you can find me.
Amazing.
And it's all in English, no Estonian, unfortunately, except for one word, the marker word that I use during training sessions. It's tubli. So in Estonian, it means like well done, like good boy, basically. Now people and my students are using it all over the world. So tubli.
Oh, love it. It's awesome. We'll link to all of that in the show notes as well. So thank you so much. Our first ever marine engineer from Estonia for being on our podcast. Thank you very much, Dr. Valgma. We really appreciate your time and coming to hang out with us at Animal Training Academy, and looking forward to diving into movement puzzles in part 2.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our chat, and I look forward to part 2.
And thank you so much for listening as well. This is your host, Ryan Cartledge, signing off from this episode of the Animal Training Academy podcast show. We hope today's conversation inspired you and equipped you with new tools for your trainer's toolbox. Remember, every challenge in training is an opportunity to learn and sharpen your animal training geekery. Embrace the rough patches, learn from them, and keep improving. And don't forget, the path to growing your skills and expanding your knowledge continues beyond this episode. Visit www.atamember.com to join our supportive membership, where you will find a community of trainers just like you. Together, we're making a huge positive difference in the lives of animal and human learners worldwide. Until next time, keep honing your skills, stay awesome, and remember, every interaction with an animal or human learner is your opportunity to create ripples. We're here cheering you on every step of the way. See you at the next episode.